When a businessman tried to mock a street violinist on a busy Harlem corner, he had no idea he'd soon be standing before him, hands lowered, voice trembling. What happened next changed them both forever. If you've ever walked down 56th Street in Harlem around noon, you know the sound. It ain't glamorous. The cracked asphalt grumbles under tires, horns scream in all directions, someone's yelling into a phone like it's a competition, and there's always some poor mama fussing at her kid for wandering too close to the curb. Harlem breathes noise, raw, pulsing, unapologetic noise. And yet, through all that beautiful mess, a sound cut through like a blade against glass. Not loud, not flashy, just warm, coppery, and heartbreaking. It came from a violin. No amp, no mic, no beat machine to dress it up. Just one man, one bow, one soul bleeding across four strings. And somehow, Harlem paused. Malik Johnson stood near the subway stairs in his scuffed leather jacket, the kind that's been through more winters than it should have, faded jeans that barely held their color anymore, and shoes with soles thinner than patience in a long DMV line. But in his hands, that violin, battered, secondhand, covered in nicks and scratches like a body that's been through too much and still shows up. That instrument had seen more pain than most people could spell. And Malik? He played it like it was part of him, because it was. He didn't have a hat out for cash, no cardboard sign begging for attention, no trembling hunger trying to guilt you out of $5. He wasn't there to beg. He was there to speak, through wood and string, for people too tired to keep shouting. Then he came, and everything shifted. White man, dressed head to toe in a cream-colored suit that probably had its own driver, tie so sharp it could cut glass, sunglasses tucked into his pocket like he didn't need shade. The world adjusted to him. Behind him, two younger guys, all tight-jawed and screen-glued, trailing like ducks with LinkedIn profiles. They were walking fast. Power walking, the kind of pace that says, I own this block, even if my feet never touched it before. And then he stopped. Just like that. He looked at Malik, no, through him, and barked out a laugh. Loud, ugly, like the punchline to a joke nobody else was in on. You serious? The man chuckled, eyes glinting like Wall Street gold. A violin? Out here? On this corner? Malik didn't blink. He'd heard that laugh before. In high school, when he wrote poetry instead of raps. At jazz camp, when he chose Coltrane over trap beats. He knew that laugh. It was the sound of someone who decided your worth before you spoke. I don't play for laughs, sir, Malik said, voice low and steady. I play for the music, but I can play for you. No charge. The two business tag-alongs glanced at each other. One snickered. The other curled his lip like he'd just stepped in gum. The man in the suit folded his arms, tilted his head back, and let out a deeper laugh, the kind that tried to own the street. Well, hell, he smirked. Look at you, a street-side Stradivarius with a sense of drama. All right, let's see it. Play me something real, something from the soul. He stood like he was expecting a performance. Not a concert, but a comedy act. His whole body said, impress me, entertainer, but don't get too loud. Malik nodded once, then lifted the bow. And what came out of that violin wasn't just music, it was testimony. He started with Billie Holiday. Strange fruit, software whisper-like. No showboating, no theatrics. Just breath through strings. Like the notes weren't coming from the violin, but from his ribs. Like he'd inhaled Harlem's ghosts and exhaled memory. The sound didn't pierce the street. It wrapped around it. The world didn't just listen. It held its breath. A man carrying groceries froze mid-step. A kid stopped chewing gum. A woman with earbuds tugged one out, like her bones told her to listen. And the man in the suit? He wasn't laughing now. The melody crept around him, low and thick and sorrowful. It whispered of trees that bore the wrong kind of fruit, of bodies swaying not to music, but to injustice, of blood spilled not in war, but in silence. Malik's violin didn't scream. It mourned, softly, powerfully. It didn't ask permission, it remembered. And suddenly, that powerful man in the perfect suit was no longer standing tall. His arms dropped. His lips trembled. He looked past Malik, beyond the street, into some memory he didn't want, but couldn't unsee. Maybe it was his grandmother's living room radio playing Billy on Sunday nights. Maybe it was his father telling him who not to bring home. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was shame. But something cracked. Because Malik wasn't just playing. He was unmaking armor, note by note, and then silence. The bow lowered. Malik gave a small nod, like a preacher finishing a sermon with no words left. The street was frozen, still, reverent, then a slow clap, another, and then the world restarted, but quieter. The man fumbled for his wallet. Reflex, like he needed to do something. Malik raised a hand. I wasn't playing for money. The man stared, confused, hollowed. Then why? He croaked. Malik stared him dead in the eye. Because you looked at me like I was a joke, a propriedad, something to step around on your way to somewhere more important. I'm not a joke. I'm not a background character. I'm a man, a musician, a voice, and sometimes people need to be reminded that other people are people. The man didn't speak. He just looked, really looked, like he'd never seen Malik before that moment. Then, as if realizing it was the only thing he had left to give, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a business card, and held it out like an apology he didn't know how to say. Tomorrow, he said, voice tight. My office. 9 a.m. I'm Richard Harper. Malik took the card. Not because he needed a job, because he needed that man to remember this moment every time he touched that nameplate on his desk. And as Harper turned to go, still shaken, still adjusting to a world where the violin could cut deeper than a deal, Malik tucked the card into his jacket. Not for opportunity, for accountability. Because sometimes change doesn't come from shouting. Sometimes it comes from playing one perfect, devastating note. So now let me ask you something. Who's laughing now? What happened next flipped everything upside down. And you don't want to miss how it unfolds. Stick around. This story's just tuning up. Malik didn't wake up to the sound of his alarm. He didn't need it. Instead, he woke to a feeling, heavy, slow, like the bass line of an old blues track dragging him out of sleep. That kind of feeling that doesn't knock. It settles on your chest and waits for you to notice. On his nightstand sat that business card. White, glossy, sharp like fresh-cut marble. Richard Harper. Even the font looked expensive, like it cost a little extra to spell his name with that much confidence. Malik stared at it like it was a warning label. A sleek little square that smelled like mint, cologne, and control. Harper had said, I want you in my office at 9. But Malik's mind was already asking, and what happens at 9:01? Still, he got up. He didn't dress like someone trying to impress. He dressed like someone trying to remember who he was. The jacket his mama bought for high school graduation, too tight in the shoulders now, but still clean. The shoes that squeaked when he walked. Not because they were new, but because they were holding on for dear life. That was the soundtrack of his stride. When he stepped into the lobby of Harper's building, he felt it immediately. That cold air, the kind that didn't just chill your bones. It made you feel like maybe you didn't belong. The floors shined like mirrors. The elevator dinged like it didn't know struggle. And the receptionist? She gave him a look like the system's immune response had just kicked in. Sir, are you? I'm Malik Johnson. Mr. Harper gave me this. She looked at the card, then at him, then back at the card like it might change its story. Then her voice flipped into that plastic politeness every receptionist gets trained in. One moment, please. Click, click. Mr. Harper's expecting you. Elevator to your right. Right, Malik thought. You're nobody until somebody important says you're not a mistake. He rode the elevator in silence. Each floor he passed felt heavier, like the air itself got more expensive the higher he went. And when the doors opened, he stepped into a glass-walled corner office that looked like it belonged in a catalog. It was quiet, but not peaceful. More like a place where people pretend things aren't burning down behind the curtains. Harper was already sitting. He wasn't smiling. No suit today, just a button-down shirt and a face that looked like it hadn't slept. His eyes were wired, not from caffeine, but from something he didn't recognize in himself. Guilt, maybe, or truth finally getting loud enough to be heard. "Sit down," he said. "I hope you don't mind me being straight with you." Malik sat, calm and grounded, not from nerves, but from principle. "I woke up a different man," Harper continued. "You reached something in me yesterday I thought I buried. I want to do something. No, I need to do something. An album, a tour, publicity, whatever it takes." Malik didn't answer right away. He could smell what was underneath. The polish, the pitch, all sugar on top of a risk disguised as a favor. He leaned back slightly. "Why?" he asked. Harper gave that half smile, the one that says, "I knew you'd ask, and I wish I had a cleaner answer. Because yesterday, I cried, and I haven't cried since my mother's funeral." Malik didn't blink. "You don't have to buy your tears back, Mr. Harper." "I'm not trying to buy anything," Harper said quickly. I want to help make you seen, make more like you seen." That's when Malik noticed her. Standing just outside the glass wall, tailored suit in steel gray, arms crossed, face locked in PR mode. Marcia Langston, director of image, reputation, and everything that could be broken by the wrong narrative. She wasn't eavesdropping. She was monitoring, like a lifeguard in a sea full of sharks. Malik left the office with Harper still promising. Equipment, platforms, interviews. But outside that fishbowl, he felt the water get colder. Marcia stepped in without knocking. "This is a mistake," she said bluntly. "He's from the street. We have investors, media partners. Forbes lists, Richard. Do I need to spell this out?" "We also have a conscience," Harper snapped. "Not all of us," she replied flat. "You've made promises like this before. Bronx Youth Initiative, that art grant you dropped halfway through, the mentorship program that vanished before the ink dried. You forget, Richard. And this time it's public." Harper didn't respond, because everything she said was true. Malik, downstairs now, walked out the building still holding that business card like it had a weight to it. Heavier now, full of questions. He didn't know if he felt relief or suspicion. That's when they appeared. 3 men, white, no logos, no badges, just suits and stares. The middle one, with a trimmed beard and expensive watch, stepped forward like he was used to being the spokesperson. "Mr. Johnson, I presume?" "Who's asking?" "We represent the board, Mr. Harper's partners." He extended a hand. Malik didn't take it. "We have some concerns. Let's say it might be best if you discontinue any further involvement. It's not in alignment with our profile." Malik gave a short laugh through his nose. Quiet, sharp, insulting. "What profile is that? The one I don't fit into?" "This has nothing to do with race," the man added quickly. Malik stepped in a little closer. Calm, controlled, cutting. "It always has to do with race, whether you say it or not." He turned and walked away. Not because he didn't care, but because he was done explaining the obvious to people who chose not to see it. That night Harper called, voice tight, tired. "They're against it. Marcia's already leaked something to the press. They're painting you as unstable, saying your background's a liability, that your past is too unpolished." Malik stayed silent. "They say it could hurt my reputation," Harper added. I'm trying to fight this." Still, Malik didn't speak. He just listened to the sound of a man breathing in a cage he helped build. "Are you going to fold on me?" he asked finally. "I want to help." "You already did," Malik cut in. "You showed me who you are. Now it's time you show yourself. You want to be a businessman? Fine. Or you can be a man. But not both at the same time. Not in this system." He hung up. That night, Malik went back to 56th Street. Same spot, same violin. But this time, his music didn't just speak. It roared. He played like the sky was cracking open. Like every note was a challenge. Like he wasn't asking for space. He was claiming it. People gathered. Phones came out. Videos went up. The title said it all. Man with a violin plays like the world's falling apart. And maybe, just maybe, it was. Because tomorrow would shake the whole damn table. This is it. The climax. The storm before the change. You've come too far to stop now. Stick around. The final note hits next. It didn't begin with fanfare or flashing lights. It began with Malik's face staring back at him from a flickering television bolted into the corner of a corner store wall. He had just ducked in to grab a coffee, still wearing that same jacket from yesterday and shoes that knew the shape of every sidewalk crack in Harlem. The screen showed a clip. The clip. Him, eyes closed, bow dancing slow across strings, standing still while the world bent to his sound. The caption read, "Harlem Street violinist explodes on TikTok. Millions overnight." A man behind the counter, mid-40s, work apron, dusty with flour, looked up from the register and nodded. "That's you, ain't it, brother?" Malik nodded back, not with pride, not even with surprise, just a quiet acknowledgement. Because inside, he wasn't celebrating. He was boiling, not out of anger, out of knowing. How quickly the street turns into spectacle. How easily the pain of your people becomes content. Yesterday, he was an obstacle to hurry around. Today, he's a movement. Not because they heard his story, because they could repost it. And just like that, his phone buzzed. Harper. He answered before he could stop himself. "Malik." Harper's voice came through, tight and pressed. "We've got a situation. Emergency board meeting. They want to strip your name from every draft we've touched. No connection, no mention." "You surprised?" Malik said, slow like syrup. "Your people never wanted a musician. They wanted a shade, a logo with rhythm and market value." "They're scared," Harper admitted. "Good," Malik snapped. "Fear's the first step to awareness. I'm not here to comfort them. I'm here to be heard. And truth? Truth itches worse than dandruff during a product launch." Harper was silent. That silence said more than words. It was the sound of a man wrestling his own reflection. "You still coming in today?" he asked quietly. "No," Malik replied. "You are. My studio. 2 hours." 2 hours later, Malik sat in a small studio above a bodega in the Bronx. No elevator, no air conditioning, no velvet chairs, just concrete, sweat, and sound. He paid for this space with his own money, scraped from gigs, tutoring, and faith. Because when the world won't give you a mic, you build your own damn stage. Jiren the engineer was already waiting, a quiet genius from the block, sharper than any Ivy League resume Harper could have bought. He didn't need titles. He spoke fluent frequency. Malik wasn't recording an album. He was laying down a manifesto. Each violin stroke came not from his fingers, but from his marrow. Every note was a sentence. Every pause, a stare. He wasn't auditioning. He was declaring, "I'm not your poster boy. I'm not your press release. I don't need to be polished to be powerful. My sound doesn't ask permission. It exists." Meanwhile, downtown, Harper and Stein's boardroom looked like a pressure cooker. Marsha Langston, PR lead with steel eyes and an iron voice, slammed a printout onto the table. "He's hijacked the narrative. The press is calling. The Daily Show. 60 Minutes. NPR. We say nothing. We lose control. We say the wrong thing. We burn." A director, tie too tight, face too clean, muttered, "He's not the right image. He's confrontational." "You mean he's not grateful enough?" Harper asked, voice louder than it had been all week. "You mean he doesn't say thank you for being tolerated?" Silence, heavy, thick. "We're a company, Richard," another director finally said. "Not a mission. We sell stability. We don't save people." That's when Harper stood up. Not slowly, not dramatically, just enough to show his spine. "I'm done," he said. "I'm buying out. With my own funds, my own name. I've spent enough time sitting in the waiting room of decency. I'm walking out the front door." He left without looking back, because finally he wasn't watching the story unfold. He was in it. That night Malik played, not for money, not for likes, not for some press cycle written by someone who's never set foot north of 96th. He played on a rooftop, Harper stood nearby, not in front, not directing. Just there, like a student watching the master teach with strings and fire. You turned down $1 million, Harper said, watching the skyline. Malik didn't flinch. I turned down a cage. I took what you gave me yesterday. Your truth, that's worth more. He lowered his violin. I won't take your money, Richard, but I'll take your help. If, and only if, you walk with me, not in front of me. I don't want to lead, Harper said. I want to stand next to you. They shook hands, no cameras, no contracts, just skin and skin, saying, we build this different. 1 week later, Apollo Theater stood still, sold out, standing room only, no press badges, just people. When Malik stepped onto that stage, he didn't hold a set list. He held a story. He played like he had been holding breath for a generation, and now it was time to exhale. The room didn't cry because the music was sad. They cried because it was true. He stepped up to the mic. I never asked for fame, he said. I asked not to be erased. Today, I speak for those you tried not to see. We were here. We are here. And we won't go silent. His name was everywhere now. But more importantly, his name was known by the kids who looked like him, dressed like him, got told no like him. Malik wasn't just a violinist. He was a signal that the street can speak, that pain can power, that one man with 4 strings can make the ground shake. And if you've made it to this moment, you didn't just read a story, you heard every note, you felt every silence. Because Malik is every one of us who's ever stood between brilliance and dismissal and chose not to bow. This story doesn't end, it resonates.